Good morning. Today is Friday, March 1st, 2024. There is an incredible Midrash, an explanation by our rabbis from the time of the Talmud. If this was not written down in such an authoritative source, it would be impossible to say this. It will seem impossible in any event. And I heard this from Rabbi Meilech Biderman. So, in our Torah portion, Kisisa, Moshe has gone up to the top of Mount Sinai after the revelation at Sinai. He's to be there for 40 days to receive the rest of the Torah. While he is there, for whatever reason, the Jewish people down below build a golden calf, an egel hazahav. Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe, and God says to Moshe, remember, the two of them, Hashem and Moshe, Moshe is at the top of the mountain. He doesn't know what's going on down below. But Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe, God says to Moshe, lech reid, go down, descend, go back down the mountain, because your people have caused a destruction. Saru maher min haderech asher tzivisim, they have quickly abandoned the path that I commanded for them. Asu lehem egel maasecha, they made for themselves a golden calf, a graven image. Vayishtachavu lo, and they are bowing down to it. Vayizbechu lo, and they are offering sacrifices to it. Vayomru, and they are saying, and again, these next words, I don't even know how to read them or to understand them, but Vayomru, this is God speaking to Moshe. Vayomru, and what the people are saying about the golden calf down below, Eile Elohecha Yisrael. I can't even translate. This is your God, Israel. They're saying this to the calf. Asher helucha me'eretz Mitzrayim, which took you out of Egypt. So the Jewish people are dancing around and worshiping this golden calf and saying about this golden calf, you are our God and you're the one that took us out of Egypt. It boggles the mind. Okay. But the point I want to make is that God told Moshe what the Jewish people are doing down below. God. This wasn't CNN. This wasn't TikTok. This is God. God tells Moshe exactly what's happening down below. But Moshe, hearing this from God, Moshe was holding the luchos, the two tablets of stone on which were engraved the Aseres HaDibros, the Ten Commandments. He was holding the two tablets of stone, and he did not break them. Vayifan veyered Moshe min hahar. Moshe goes down the mountain, right? God told him, go back down because this terrible thing is happening. Vayifan vayered Moshe min hahar. Moshe went down the mountain. Ushnei luchos hoedus biyado, and the two tablets of stone were in his hands. He was still holding them. Vayihi kasher karav el hamachaneh. And it was that when Moshe came close to the camp of the Jewish people, Vayares ha'egel va'umucholos, and Moshe saw the golden calf and saw the dancing that was going on around it and the worshiping that was going on around it. Vayichar af Moshe, and Moshe became very angry with the Jewish people. Vayashlech miyadav es haluchos, and Moshe dropped the two stones. Vayishaber osam tachas ahor, and they were broken at the bottom of the mountain. Why didn't Moshe break the luchos earlier? Moshe heard from God what the Jewish people had done. Terrible. You don't get a better news report than from God. And yet, notwithstanding that, Moshe doesn't break the luchos until he descends the mountain, sees the golden calf with his own eyes, and then he breaks the luchos. So listen, please, to what our rabbis in the Midrash say. It is, again, if this would not be written down, it would be impossible to assert this. Our rabbis say as follows. Atamotze comes out from here. B'shah she'amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu lech rei ki sheches amcha, that at the moment that God said to Moshe, go back down the mountain because the people have committed a catastrophe, hayu tofes beluchos, Moshe was still holding on to the 2 tablets of stone. V'lo hayamamin shechata Yisrael. And Moshe did not believe that the Jewish people had sinned. Wait, hold on. Moshe did not believe that the Jewish people had sinned. Moshe didn't believe who? Who was it that Moshe didn't believe? God! God said to him. How can our rabbis even write these words that Moshe didn't believe what God said to him? I mean, it's impossible. But this is what our rabbis in the Midrash says. V'lo hayamamin shechata Yisrael. Even though God himself said the words, go down because the people have made a golden calf, Moshe didn't believe it. Omar, Moshe said to himself, Im eni roeh, eni mamin. If I don't see it with my own eyes, I don't believe it. Shenemar, and that's what the verse means when it says, Vayihi kasher karav el hamachaneh. And it was when Moshe went down the mountain and came close to the camp, Vayares ha'egel u'mecholos, and he saw the golden calf and the worshiping. Then Vayichar af, he became angry, Vayashlech miadav, and then he broke the luchos. V'lo shavram, says our rabbis in the Midrash, ad shera'a be'enav. And he did not break the luchos until he saw the golden calf with his own eyes, notwithstanding that he knew what had happened from the, by definition, most trusted source in the world, God, directly. The Midrash continues. Ay lo levnei adam shehem me'idim ma she'enim roim. One lesson you see from here is woe to those people who testify to things that they did not actually witness. A person who falsely testifies. What a terrible sin. Moshe was unwilling to accept the report of even God until he saw it himself. Can you imagine in a human court a person who's testifying, obviously falsely, that he or she saw something and they really didn't see it? Can you imagine how terrible a sin that is? Okay. Now, our rabbis in the Midrash understand that this is outside of our understanding. Our rabbis say, Efshar shelo haya Moshe mamin b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu she'amar lo ki sheches amcha. Is it possible to imagine that Moshe didn't believe God? That God told him that your people have sinned and built the golden calf? Is that possible? But listen carefully. Elahodia Moshe derech eretz Yisrael. Moshe acted in this way in order to teach a very important lesson to the Jewish people at that time and to every one of us. This lesson is directed to every one of us right now today. Sha'afilu sheyehe adam shomea davar, that if you hear something negative from somebody else, min yechidi neman, it could be from the most trustworthy person in the world. I don't mean someone like Michael Whitman tells you it's true, but someone who is a really trustworthy person. Reb Moshe Feinstein says something to you. The greatest tzaddik, whoever's the greatest righteous person in the whole world that you know, the most trustworthy person in the world that you know, and they tell you something, Moshe is teaching you, Asur lekabel eduso velasos davar. It is prohibited to accept that negative report and to act on it. Im eno roa be'enov, if you have not seen it with your own eyes. No matter how credible, no matter how trustworthy, no matter what it is, if you hear something negative about someone else, you are not allowed to act on it until you have verified and seen it with your own eyes. This is a situation that comes up for us every single day, all day long. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what she said? Okay, there are people that gossip, nebuch. There are people that gossip. There are people that are not trustworthy. All right, so we know to discount what they say. But there are people that we trust. There are people we look up to. There are people we respect. When they tell us something, don't we have the right to believe it? If they tell us something negative about somebody else, don't we have the right to believe it? Says Moshe, no. Because no one in your life will ever tell you something, and you will think that it is more trustworthy than Moshe says than what I heard from God. Nobody beats that. And Moshe says, I did not act. I went down. Yes, God told me to go down the mountain. I went down, but I didn't break the luchos. I didn't take any action based on it until I went down and I saw it with my own eyes. And even though from the theological point of view, this makes no sense whatsoever, I mean, it is not possible to say the words, Moshe did not believe God. The comment of our rabbis means to say, Moshe acted in this way that is impossible to understand in order to teach us a lesson, in order for us to learn about this and apply it to our lives, where of course it does apply. Can you imagine for a moment if we could internalize this teaching? No matter what someone said, no matter what report we hear, we just disbelieve it until we see it with our own eyes. Can you imagine how much Machlokes we would avoid? How much upset and anger and aggravation and recrimination we could eliminate from our lives and from the world. God told Moshe. But Moshe wanted to teach us, even if you hear it from the most trustworthy source. If you didn't see it yourself, don't act on it. Listen to these words, my friend. Listen to these words and change your life. My friends, I wish you a great day and a fantastic Shabbos. And I look forward to seeing you soon in person.